Okay, welcome back. The final week of the semester in terms of classes. That's exciting, and I wonder how you all are doing with that. And yeah, with all that's going on, I figure we'd take a little bit to introduce the final exam. Hopefully you're not peering right away at all these words here. I'm realizing right now it could use a little graphical levity, lightening, but this is what it is for now, and I'll post the PDF for you all as well. And yeah, you know, I thought a lot about how we could conclude this course with a final exam that both provides you with an opportunity to demonstrate what you've learned in the course. I feel that any exam should be rooted in that intention, that it be an opportunity for students to review, to reflect, to produce, especially what's meaningful to them. I think in a lot of cases that might be the part that gets sidelined in the typical academic model of lack of student choice. And I think there's a lot of changes occurring in higher education, and yeah, and I hope that I can be in service to you in providing this sort of final exam. No real script to what I'm saying here, just kind of pulling from the hip in terms of, yeah, trying to have it be like first thought, best thought. What does this mean for students? And where a lot of that reflection got me to was this assignment. How thought it'd be neat if you could come up with 5 main points of what you'll take away from this course, and give you a chance to describe, to provide evidence around what those 5 points are. How do you conceive of them? How do you back that up? Just to read this first little bit here for you before I bounce between a lot of different aspects of it. The intention of this final assignment is to have you review what you've learned in this course and compile 5 personal takeaways. I always thought takeaway was like a sports phrase or a bit of a slang or colloquialism. And so at first I had these quotations around it. I had a hyphen. Turns out I was torn whether to pluralize it or not, add an S, and look it up, and it's right in Merriam-Webster. So there it is for you. Takeaways. Official term. If there's a better synonym for you, feel free to sub that in. That will stand out to you long into the future. Okay, and so I go on to say students learn lots of materials during a semester and then have to study a broad range of it for the finals. I think I've been reading never too many, but a lot of kids' books lately, so if I add some emphasis on certain long qualitative words, that might be the reason. And I'm a little excited to share this with you all because I'm really curious what you think of it, and if you want to contest it, let me know. So yeah, you learn lots, and then you have to study this broad range of it. And in my experience, and what I've heard from a lot of students over the past 8 years of teaching post-secondary, is that a lot of it gets lost. I know I don't remember anywhere close to 5 main points to most of the courses I took in university. And then I spent hours, for some of them hundreds of hours, studying that course. And so it makes me wonder, how can that be different? How can we conceptualize, how can we practice with this learning in a different way? How can we go forward in new ways? Okay, and so my hope is that what you've worked hard at learning here will remain with you. Obviously not all of it, but these, at least 5 main points, or, some core material will stick with you and for your benefit, as I say, going forward. Okay, and so why 5? Well, why not? No. I guess this doesn't really call for answering why 5. It's each of the 5 should include, but I debated 3, but I think it's fairly important to have it be somewhat in line with putting forward handing in a term paper, an end of term research project, and that's a phenomenal way to demonstrate understanding as well. But unless, well, in most cases it's going to almost be on the opposite end of this spectrum of studying a broad range of material, right? You're almost going to focus in really specifically on one aspect, which has a ton of merit to it as well. But I think there's a way to navigate a different course, and we're encouraged to be coming up with new and innovative ways of testing, of examining. And I think this is in line with that creative encouragement that the university and a lot of the post-secondary academy is putting forward, telling professors and instructors to come up with. So I think we're taking steps towards that. You let me know how we're doing with this. And yeah, so a lot of courses have a 10-page term paper, and we could have done 3 main points, right? The classic, what are your 3 main points, and then have those each be 3.5 pages. But I think there's value in being a little more concise to explaining these main points, and so keeping that downwards of about 2 pages per point. And to have a little bit more than the standard 3 points to come away with. We had 3 modules in the course, and part of me hopes you'll pull one of your main points from each module. I don't have it as a specific requirement here, because more than anything I want the 5 points to be things that really resonate with your heart, and that what you're most drawn to wanting to take with you forward. And so be a bit restrictive if I say, okay, go hunt down 1 main point from each of the 3 units that we've looked at, and then 2 of your choice. I do encourage that. I think you'll benefit a lot from doing that, and that's the invitation. And in a lot of assignments you work through things, and then you realize, like, oh, actually I'm going to go back to the drawing board here. And so that's there's an openness to that here as well. I won't really know if you've tried compiling a handful and then you're like, nah, actually I want to go with these other ones, So maybe start broad, and then as you begin to compile your evidence and explanations, you can start to zoom in on the 5 that you'd like to choose and put forth and take with you into the future. Great Scott! And so each one of them, right? There's 3 main things for each one of these points. We'll get back to that 3 in the end here after all. Both great auspicious numbers for us, right? So helpful to work with in that sense, 5s and 3s. Lots of educational paradigms or mnemonics work in terms of 5 and 3 if we want to just stick to that alone. Those contexts. So each one, a specific statement of your main takeaway / lesson. I guess here's hyphen in this takeaway right here. Not anymore. And the benefits of working right in Word, right? So one sentence would be even better, right? Even more concise and hopefully even more poignant and heart-based or deep in your mind. Sometimes, it's really hard to fit everything into one sentence. So 1 to 2, but the point here is to keep it concise and specific, even more important. And then, evidence and explanation of that main lesson statement, your main takeaway, okay? Back up your statement with aspects such as your reasoning as to why that's the main point, why that's a main lesson. But, perhaps even more important, the examples of it, and then the core here, the what, where, why of it. So, what is it that this main point is, and where does that exist in the world? Where does it not exist? Like, getting to that opposing viewpoint a little bit there, but and the why, like why? Not so much why is it your main point, but why is it the way that it is? Supporting and opposing views. It's always great to, we provide a lot of evidence as to why something is, or explaining it, but it's great to present the opposing view. Some of this might be a little political, some of it might be controversial, some of it, you might be taking a stand on something. So all the more important to address opposing views. Okay, and then at least one reference to class readings, right? The official readings we used for our reflections. And then at least 4 other references to academic caliber sources. So at least 5 in total, right? And that should feel similar to doing a research paper, providing plenty of citations. And then, for this, in line with the encouragement from the university and academic literature to integrate more creative elements into students' assignments. This final part of each main point should be what we can call an illustrative element, or I'd like you to describe a song or a piece of art or a poem, a particular experience, culinary dish, anything or something you pick that represents the main point to you personally and not necessarily in the eyes of someone else. Okay, so let's get creative, I say, right? So this way there's another anchor in your mind to that main point for the future, okay, besides a specific sentence. So that, when something comes up in the future, or you're trying to remember this something important from this class, you can think back to this beautiful Mary Oliver poem, or this amazing Grateful Dead song, or Jay-Z song, or Beethoven song, right? Or this amazing Thai food dish, and that somehow some of the tones in there take you back to something we've learned in this class, right? You can get tactile with it, you can get exploratory, contemplate it for a while. You have a couple weeks here. Our final date is officially the 12th, the afternoon. Let's push that back to the following Sunday, or not the following Sunday, but at least to the Sunday the 13th that night. Gives us a good practically 2 weeks to work on this. If you need more time, let me know. Maybe we can come up collectively with a fair time for folks. And then, let's briefly describe the representation and what it is about. I'm just gonna not try to read that. What about it is what's leading you to have that be associated with this main point? Okay, maybe my verbiage is off there a little bit, but what about that song leads you to associate it with this main point? Okay, and then Feel free to copy paste, you know, a link to it, or if it's an image, beautiful painting that evokes this, you know, marine planning to you. Something else. Feel free to edit that a little bit. Feel free to copy / paste an image / link to something as well. Okay, the link to your representation, right? Link to it. And get rid of as well, make that a little more clear. And that way, you know, I can take a look. And maybe there's not a link to it or a picture, you know, maybe your description is enough in and of itself. And that's fine too. Okay, so it comes out to about 2 pages per main point. That'll be about 10 pages overall. 10, 11 pages if, you know, if it runs over a bit. And yeah, trying to think if anything else comes to mind, and I'm sure it will as you ask questions. So yeah, let's have some dialogue about this in the discussion tools, or, you know, send me a line if it's something you want to ask personally. And yeah, I so look forward to hearing what you have to say and reading your finals. Okay, take care and keep in touch. Let me know what you think. All right.